What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome into another episode of Crunch Time with Kruck. This is Season 2, Episode 8. It's coming to you a little bit late because I normally do my filming on Sundays and publish them Monday morning, but I was held up at the Brewers game, followed by the Bucks game yesterday. So I'm filming on Monday night, and it will be released on Tuesday morning. So, we got a big cast today. We got a new face, Mr. Jason Miller, one of the Rockford Lutheran track and field coaches, has come on, and he will be talking to us about the Olympic trials that are going on, setting the stage for Tokyo 2021 Summer Olympics. We also got a couple of old faces. Tim Hackett is returning once again with another NHL update, and Corey Castaneda is back with NBA talk. Fair warning, all three of these excerpts were recorded Saturday night, so some of the facts may be a little outdated, but nevertheless, their opinions are mostly right. So I'd make sure you give them a listen. Before we send it that way, though, we're going to talk about a couple of things here, starting off with the road to the 2021 World Series college baseball. So, if you've been following college baseball so far, you'll know that it is number 7 seed Mississippi State taking on number 4 seed Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt has been a heavy favorite to win it all since the early days of the 1-2 combo on the pitching mound, of course. You know, just looking at it right now, they won the first game. Vanderbilt won the first game on Monday. The score was 7-4. The score was 8-3. And let's just take a quick look at who was pitching for each other. So, leader was pitching for Vanderbilt. Pitching for the Bulldogs was Mac Leod. I didn't end up doing so hot, but there always is next game. It is a best of 3 series, so be on the lookout for that. The next game will be played the 29th of June. Let's take a gander. Pitching for the team is probably going to be Kumar Rocker. He's looking pretty good, and he is that second part of the 1-2 combo punch there. So I would not be surprised if you see the manager go for Kumar Rocker, as that would be a really good choice to do. Now we're going to head over to Mr. Miller. First time on the show, so take it easy on him. You know, let him get his feet in there a little bit. Let him earn his sea legs, as the sailors say. Mr. Miller, take it away. What do you got for us?
Hey, everybody. I'm here on Crunch Time with Kruck. I'm Jason Miller. I'm the track coach at Rockford Lutheran. Specifically, I coach the throws. So today, I'm here to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in the world of track and field. And specifically, we're going to talk about the U.S. Olympic trials. So I'll give you some highlights of some things that are going on, things to watch for, and some events that will be coming up as finals is today and tomorrow. So start off, one of the biggest stories in all of it is Allison Felix. She's preparing for her 4th Olympics. She's qualified already, placing second in the 400. So she'll be there. And she's also qualified for the 200. So she'll be attempting to qualify in 2 events. And it's quite an amazing story. Great lady, great runner. So wishing her all the best in the 200 finals that are coming up later today. The other big story for women's as far as sprints is Sha'Carri Richardson running the 100. She basically just dusted the field, winning by a couple tenths. So she's on track to hopefully bring home the gold. She's going to have some competition from runners from Jamaica, but she's looking good. Other big one that's coming up as far as in the women's area, going in the 800. Yes, her name is Athing Mo, but she's an awesome runner. She's only 19. She runs the 800. She's looking, basically, I think she has the best time in the world, or second best. She's looking to go ahead and just take care of business again. So that's a big story that's coming up. Other one that's coming up, as far as the final that's going on today, it would be in the women's 400 hurdles. Delilah Muhammad Uh, Olympic champion looking to come back and repeat. She's looking in great form. Easily qualifying for the finals that'll be going on Saturday night. So wishing her all the best as well. As far as men's side, things are going on along the men's. Being that I'm a throws coach, I'm kind of focused on looking at some of the field events. Discus, we're okay. Our best discus guy placed 11th at the last Olympics, so hopefully get a little bit better performance. Other things that are going on as far as shot put is where the U.S. is looking to be really dominant. Ryan Krauser breaks the world record by 7 inches in these trials. That's an amazing thing to happen. So he is on pace to bring home a gold. Hopefully he goes and does it, but he's going to get a lot of competition from his own teammate of Joe Kovacs, another just world-class thrower. So hopefully U.S., as we get those Olympics, we're taking 2 of those 3 medals home, possibly a third. I'm not sure where a third thrower is, but 1 and 2 are dominant throwers. So looking good is there. Other field events that are coming up. Pole vault's coming up. Finals are later today, I believe. Sam Kendricks for the men, number 2 in the world. Just hopefully takes care of business, gets through. As far as women, we have Sandy Morris is another one. She medaled last time at the Olympics, so she's looking to go back and get her second medal. So looking good. Hopefully this time she brings home the gold. She came up just short last time. Now, the other focus we want to talk about things that are going on as far as in the men's ring events. Men's 100, Trevon Brumell wins the men's 100. That final rate took place. Our top 6 runners were all under 10 seconds. Amazing time. So while we got those guys qualified, we're set for a relay team as long as we don't make mistakes. We've made some mistakes in our relays with our handoffs, and hopefully we get that cleared up. As far as that, we got the speed. You never know in the 100 what happens. Hopefully we get at least 1 medal, possibly 2 out of that men's 100. And the men's 400, our best runner is Michael Norman. Michael Norman is just unbelievable, just easy victory, taking care of business like everybody thought he would. Our next 5 runners, all outside of the qualifier, all are in the relay, so we are looking really strong for that 4x4 relay team when we get to the Olympics. One of the biggest stories out of the Olympic trials is the men's 800. Clayton Murphy wins it. He was expected to make the team. But the biggest thing is Donovan Brazier doesn't qualify. He's number 1 in the world. He's a world champion. He just was looking to dominate. And basically, in the finals, didn't have it. Came in dead last. Very shocked, very surprised on that. Guy's an amazing runner, just dominating the world circuit when he's been out there running, and just had one of those days. It's very unexpected, but hopefully he comes back around. Maybe win some world championships. I don't know if he'll be around for the next Olympics, but we'll see what happens. Last little things that I want to kind of wrap up on. Men's decathlon. For me, biggest thing is 3rd place. Zach Zemek, 3rd. He's going to the Olympics, and he's a Badger on Wisconsin. Good for him. Very close. I mean, we had 3 guys all in the within 200 points of each other in the 8,000. So good competition. Hopefully they all got a good shot. Bring home at least a medal, maybe 2 when they get to the Olympics. So trying to think if I got anything else left here in my notes. Things are coming up today. Biggest thing what people want to see is Noah Lyles. Huge story. Men's 200 just looking to take care of business. He's in their semifinals and finals of the next 2 days. He went and go in the first opening rounds. Took care of business. Easy. So we'll see what he does, and hopefully he's all set to bring home that gold. So that's what I got for you today. So good to be on here. Hopefully you enjoy a little bit. Got a little bit of track and field news, and hopefully we'll be back again when we get around the Olympics.
So as I said, I am coming to you on Monday, not Sunday. Mr. Miller and then his 2 sons, Jonah and Brandon, who are close friends of mine. We all went up to the Brewer game, as you'll see the picture right here. And then afterwards, we went to the Bucks little, I think he called it the Deer District, kind of outside the Forum where the Bucks play, right here. It was honestly just a great time, a great whole day. We made a day of it. There's no other way to say it. We made a day of it. Before we get to Corey. We're taking a look at the Clippers and the Suns game, and it looks like the Clippers are going to end up winning Game 5 of the series. Right now, the Clippers are winning 114 to 100 points. The Suns are trailing by 14, and there is less than 2 minutes left. These stats are accurate Monday, June 28th as of 10:30. So, Phoenix is going to hold on to a 1-game lead, but it will be a 3-2 series. Looking at hockey, as Tim will get to later, the Lightning beat the Canadiens tonight 5-1, and that was a huge game. Jump out 1-0 in the Stanley Cup series. But before we get all the way there, we're going to talk just a tiny bit more about basketball. So, basketball's nearing a close. And last night, in the Bucks-Hawks game, Trae Young shot a three-pointer. Trae Young shot several three-pointers. A lot of them went in, a lot of them didn't. But if you notice, a lot of the times that he shoots a three-pointer, he's trying to draw a foul. And I was really thinking to myself, going through old game footage in the NBA, looking for who really started this trend of, trying to draw the foul instead of just going up and shooting it. And it was not very prevalent in the 2000s era. It came around starting in 2013, 2014, but 3 of the players who I would say really made it a big deal. Number 1 is James Harden. I think James Harden goes for contact too much. He is using it to make his team better, so you may dislike the guy for it, but until the rules change, you got to keep going to it because it's working. Number 2 would be LeBron James. LeBron James understands the game of basketball. He understands the rules. He understands what he can get away with, so it's a smart play to do it if they're going to call it in that favor. If they don't, he changes his gameplay and he moves on. He's not going to complain the whole night that they're not giving him these bogus calls. And he moves on. But another player who really, really does it, and it's not pretty, is Trae Young. And Trae Young, he's only been in the league for a little bit of time, but he was getting away with some ridiculous calls. Now, in his defense, he understands the rules. He understands he has a landing space, and if you enter that landing space, that is a foul. And the refs are calling it. So it truly is a foul. But he's drawing the foul without really needing to. He's trying to show, hey, this guy's doing something wrong. And, I'm not a huge NBA fan. I don't have one team. I watch mostly for players. If I were to call myself a fan, I'd have to be a Bulls fan because I live near Chicago. But, Atlanta Hawks are not going to make the finals this year. So Trae Young is just trying to keep his team alive, and it's not helping. But last night, Chris Middleton ended up doing really well in the fourth quarter and very poorly in the first 3 quarters. So when they gave Chris Middleton player of the game, I was kind of miffed about it. I thought that Bobby Portis really came off the bench and played lights out. Giannis Antetokounmpo averages 28 points and 11 rebounds. By the end of the third quarter, he had 28 points and 11 rebounds. So everything he did in the fourth quarter was extra, was stuff that the coach did not plan for. He shot a three-pointer and completely airballed. Then he swished another three-pointer, so he was 50% from the field or from three-point land. But that's not what you want your center to do. So we're gonna take it over to Corey. Corey, enlighten us. What's happening in the NBA?
Thanks for having me back on the show for another episode of Crunch Time with Kruck. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Corey, and I'm kind of here to talk about basketball. We have the conference finals going on right now. We also have the U.S. Olympic team rosters. They've been announced. I'm going to start with the Suns-Clippers conference finals. That's taking place in the West. In Game 1, the Suns won 120-114. Devin Booker had 40 points, Chris Paul didn't play, and Paul George had 24 points. This is a pretty typical game. I thought that the Clippers would have won, but Devin Booker had a really big night. In Game 2, it was a pretty crazy game. The Suns won 104-103. They won with the last-minute dunk from DeAndre Ayton. Jay Crowder threw it in for the sideline. Up to Ayton, he dunked it. A lot of the Clippers players are saying that that should have been goaltending. The reason it was not called goaltending is because it can't be called in the inbounds. Another interesting fact about that game is the last 90 seconds of the game took 33 real-time minutes. Most of that was made up of reviews, and there were 5 reviews and 5 field goals in that span. So same amount of field goals as reviews. In that game, Devin Booker scored 20 points. He went 5 for 16. This is after he drew some comparisons to Kobe in that Game 1. Chris Paul didn't play that game. Paul George had 26 points, and he missed the 2 big free throws at the end that he was mocked for. So it was a pretty exciting game in that Game 2. Game 3, the Clippers won 106-92. Chris Paul had 15 points. Devin Booker had 15 points. He went 5 for 21 from the field goal. So it was another off game for him. Many people mocked him also because he drew the comparisons to Kobe and then didn't play up to that in games 2 and 3. Paul George had a big 27 for the Clippers. In Game 4, it was the Suns won 84-80. Devin Booker bounced back and had 25 points. Chris Paul had 18 points. Paul George had 23 points. And it was pretty typical game 4 for the Suns. So the Suns took a 3-1 lead over the Clippers. And it's currently unknown if Kawhi is going to come back or not, but the Clippers will try to come back from a 3-1 series deficit. Over in the Hawks-Bucks side of things, the Hawks won Game 1, 116-113. Trae Young had 48 points in Game 1. Giannis had 24 points in that Game 1. Chris Middleton had 15 in that Game 1. And also on the Hawks side of things, John Collins had 23 points to go with Trae Young's 48. It was a pretty big game from Trae Young. They were able to hold on to the lead, won by 3 points. In Game 2, the Bucks came out and destroyed Atlanta from the start. They won 125-91. They won pretty big in that Game 2. On the Game 2 side of things, Trae Young had 15 points. Giannis went 11 for 18 from field goal. He had 25 points in that Game 2. He scored very quickly early on in the game. So it was a pretty big win for the Bucks. And now I'm going to transition into talking about the USA Olympic basketball rosters. They've been announced recently. The players include Kevin Durant, Jamie Lillard, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Bradley Beal, Zach LaVine, Kevin Love, Draymond Green, Bam Adebayo, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, Jeremy Grant, and the coaches are going to be Greg Popovich with his assistants being Steve Kerr, Lloyd Pierce, and Jay Wright. They'll tip off on the 25th. There's some pretty big names in the roster. They have some talent. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, I believe, Jason Tatum, Bradley Beal. They're all All-Stars this year. So there's 5 All-Stars for the USA Olympic team in that. This will probably end in a USA gold medal win for them. I think it'll be interesting to see how Bam Adebayo and Chris Middleton get along. There's that big Bucks versus Heat beef. It's become somewhat of a rivalry now. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how they play together. But I think this will definitely be a U.S. win in the Olympics this year.
Thanks, Corey. Great insight as always, and I really enjoyed it this time. We're winding down on the NBA season, much like we're winding down in the NHL season. The Canadiens and the Lightning are the only two teams left. Tim Hackett, what do we got here?
And there we have it. We now know the two teams who will be competing for the Stanley Cup in the 2021 season, and it's the two teams that everybody expected. The reigning Stanley Cup champion, Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Montreal Canadiens. Hey, Kruck, it's Tim Hackett in Kansas City. Thanks as always for having me on the show. And let's start with Montreal, man, because I've said this every week, but can we continue to be surprised by this team? The answer is yes. I'm so stunned that they are here now 4 wins away from the Stanley Cup, but this team has a legitimate chance now to win it. Their first cup since 1993, the first cup for a team based in Canada in nearly 3 decades. This team has a legitimate chance to win it. Now, they've got a juggernaut standing in the way. We'll talk about them in a second, but I want to put this in context because Montreal, honestly, was the worst team in this postseason field, and here they are, one of the last 2 teams standing. Now, I don't mean that as an insult. What I mean by that is, of the 16 teams that qualified for the playoffs, Montreal had the fewest regular season points, the fewest regular season wins. They were very much a middling team in a lot of other statistics. Frankly, their defense and goaltending in the regular season was really not all that good. They had some offense. A lot of guys were injured in and out of the lineup. It was just a very average team, and that's why I said on the podcast weeks ago that Toronto was going to have an easy time with them in the first round because Toronto was just so much better than them and all of the other teams in the North Division in the regular season. But as any hockey fan can tell you, once you get to the playoffs, throw everything out the window. You never know what to expect. In the last couple of years, I mean, you can go back the last maybe 10 years, there's a team in the Final Four or even the Stanley Cup Final a lot of the time that is completely unexpected. You look at Vegas in their inaugural season, their first year of existence, 2018, making the Stanley Cup Final. That's insane. The Dallas Stars last year were an okay team with a couple of great players, but they got insane goaltending, good team defense, and clutch offense at times to get all the way to the Stanley Cup Final before losing to Tampa. And here is Montreal, a team that I've seen some people argue has had a lot of good luck, good fortune go their way to get here. What does that mean? People have argued that Montreal has played teams that have been less than 100% on their way here to the Stanley Cup Final. You and I talked about this weeks ago. Remember in Game 1 in their first round series against the Maple Leafs, John Tavares, Toronto's captain, goes down with an injury. But Toronto still goes up 3-1 in that series before the Maple Leafs blow it like they always do, and Montreal wins it in 7. In the second round, Mark Scheifele, Winnipeg's best forward, boards Jake Evans at the end of Game 1, gets himself a suspension, is unavailable for the rest of the series. Montreal wins it in 4. But what's the argument against Vegas here in the third round? Vegas did miss Chandler Stevenson for about half of their 6-game series. He's their top-line center in name only. I mean, Chandler Stevenson was a 4th-line center when he was in Washington before he came over to Vegas. So he centers what is technically their top line with Mark Stone and Max Pacioretty, who are 2 very good forwards. But he's not a first-line talent player. But even without him, Vegas looked lost. They had to shuffle a bunch of other guys up to that role. Sometimes it was a couple of other guys in one game because nobody could really fill that void. And even though Chandler Stevenson is nowhere near the quality of players Mark Scheifele and John Tavares, him being out really upset the apple cart, if you will, for Vegas, and their offense was terrible in their whole series against Montreal. Now, that's to say nothing about what Carey Price, the goaltender, has done all postseason. He has been outstanding. The 4 Montreal defensemen that routinely get playing time, they've got 4 guys who average more than 23 minutes of ice time. The other 2 guys barely play at all. They play like 10, 12 minutes, which is insane. The Montreal defense and goaltending has been excellent, but the Vegas offense was terrible. Their top 2 lines, including those 3 guys that I just mentioned, scored 2 goals in the 6 games. 2 goals. And the power play was 0 for 15. That's embarrassing. And it doesn't matter how good the team defense, and the Montreal's penalty kill has been excellent all playoffs. We've seen that before. They've scored a bunch of shorthanded goals. So their penalty kill and their goaltending has been tremendous. Take nothing away from that. But the Vegas offense was anemic, Chandler Stevenson or otherwise. A pretty disappointing performance in that regard. On the other side, I mean, you want to talk about the opposite of that, not anemic offense, the Tampa Bay Lightning. This is a juggernaut team on offense, and part of the reason why is something that we'll talk about a little bit, and we'll talk more about as this series goes along. The cap issues that the Lightning have run afoul of all season. They were barely under the salary cap, which was $81.5 million all regular season, and they were able to do that because they put Nikita Kucherov, their best player and a former league MVP, on what's called long-term injured reserve. So his salary cap of $9.5 million, his cap hit, I should say, did not go on the books in the regular season. They didn't have to pay for him on their active cap, if you will. But that salary cap disappears in the playoffs, so he did not play a single regular season game, and now he's eligible to play in the playoffs, and he leads all players in the postseason with 22 assists. So he is an incredible player, did not play at all in the regular season. Tampa still made the postseason without him, and now that he's here, he's on a top line with Braden Point, who scored a goal in 9 straight games, which is one off of the NHL record. They just barely squeaked by the Islanders with a 1-0 win in Game 7, but this offense is great. It's the 2 best goaltenders in the postseason, according to a bunch of advanced stats. Carey Price against Andrei Vasilevsky, so I'm super excited to see that. Again, Tampa is going to be the heavy favorite, as Montreal has been the underdog in every series so far, but you can't look past them at this point. I think we're going to be in for a really awesome Stanley Cup final here in 2021.
Thanks, Tim. Great advice as always. And with the season coming to an end, you may have 1, possibly 2 more weeks left on the show. Might have to find something else for you to talk about. Goozy, usually the guy who's doing the baseball this week, taking a week off. He's got some family things going on. Completely understandable. So I'm going to try to fill in as best as I can for him. So far, Milwaukee Brewers have jumped in the power rankings all the way up to number 9. How about that? They've just started a series against the Cubs up in Milwaukee. The Cubs are currently second in the division behind the Brewers. They are 3 games back, so they could take the division if they win out this series. The Giants are currently leading the division in the West. The Dodgers in second, the Padres in third, and the Rockies and the Diamondbacks both double-digit games back. Not looking good. The Mets are leading the East, followed by the Nationals, the Braves, the Phillies, and then the Marlins. Looking at that division right now, the Nationals have somehow, spiked the jungle juice, gave him extra coffee. They resurrected Kyle Schwarber. This guy's got 15 home runs in the month of June, and he's quite possibly one of the best leadoff batters right now. I don't know what he's doing differently, but he is playing lights out right now, and pitchers need to be aware of that. The Mets got Jacob deGrom back. He's still, you still don't know if he's going to be fully back or if he's still doing these 4-5 inning games, and you're just going to have a Johnny Holbench day. Looking at the AL, the Red Sox are atop the East, followed by the Rays, the Blue Jays, the Yankees, and then the Orioles. And, that's kind of a tricky little thing there because the Red Sox have been playing really good baseball all year, but the Tampa Bay Rays have came out of nowhere and have stormed all the way back to only 1 game back from the Red Sox. So the Red Sox have got somebody on their heels, and they can't take a day off. The Blue Jays are 6.5 games behind the Red Sox, but right now it's not looking too good for them. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., on the other hand, has been hitting bombs like nobody else, leading the MLB in home runs this year. But that's about it for the team. Looking at the Central, and this may be a division that could really have something going. The Royals, who were leading it for a while, are now 12 games behind the White Sox. The White Sox are trying to get the majority of their players off of the IL and back onto the field. They are leading the division, followed by the Cleveland Indians, Minnesota Twins, Detroit Tigers, and then finally the Royals. I think the White Sox are going to be the favorite to win that division, just because even without some of their key players, they're still dominating the game of baseball. As much as I don't like Tony La Russa, I think they're going to do it. The Houston Astros came out of absolute nowhere and just decided to go on a 12-game winning streak, and now they're in charge of the West, followed by the Oakland Athletics, Seattle Mariners, Los Angeles Angels, and then finally the Texas Rangers. So Houston's just kind of stepped up and said, hey, we're not cheating anymore, but we're doing pretty good. There was a player who was kicked out for using the illegal substance, during checks, and his name is Hector Santiago. He is the first player kicked out for foreign substances when the MLB crew did the check. And I just, I think that's just a boneheaded move. They're going to do checks. You know that they're going to be looking extra carefully for these substances, and you're going to go out there and use them? Now, I've never bought Spider Tack. I've never used it before. There's a video of Trevor Bauer somewhere on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, probably ESPN, and he's got Spider Tack on a baseball, and he holds his hand upside down, and the ball sticks to the bottom of his hand for 10 seconds. So, it's some sticky stuff. But you don't make the major leagues on foreign substances. You make the major leagues on just being good. So, I personally think that he just didn't have enough confidence to be good without using the Spider Tack. And looking at the Mariners 7.5 games back, obviously he's not doing that good because they're not winning. Looking at the overall power ranking of the MLB right now, the Giants are number 1 on top, followed by the Astros, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, and then the Rays to round out the top 5. The bottom 5 of the top 10 go the Athletics, Padres, White Sox, the Brewers, and then the Cleveland Indians. On the wrong side of the spectrum, the bottom 5, at the bottom is the Diamondbacks. Second to last, the Orioles. The Pirates are in third to last. The Rangers somehow are fourth to last, and then the Rockies are fifth to last. So 4 of those teams should probably be there. The other team, who I will not say who I think, is most definitely in the right position. Otherwise, the MLB is still pretty much up for grabs. The season's not over yet. All-Stars, the All-Star voting has come up, and I believe it is over. If you didn't vote, I'm sorry, your vote does not count anymore. But, the All-Star game's coming up, and before the All-Star break, you're just trying to get as good as you can get. After the All-Star break, that's when the season really starts to kick in and you hit those dog days of summer. Moving forward, the sticky stuff. Is he a sticky stuff guy? Who we will know. So, the AL East, they have a lot of, high-profile pitchers who could possibly be using it, could possibly not be using it. But the person who most people believe is using it because of how he's bounced back is Max Scherzer with the Washington Nationals. Now, this is a guy who's not exactly a spring chicken. He's aged. So, for him to have a bounce back year like this, you really got to be looking at something that's not really normal. Everybody talks about the longevity of your sporting career and how long can you just be good. And there's certain players who can do it. Hate to keep bringing him up, but LeBron James, he's good every year. He comes back. Tom Brady got better with time, and he's still getting better. That's honestly about it, because it takes a great player to, remain that good. Max Scherzer, I'm not going to say you're using the sticky stuff, but I'm not going to put it against you if you're not. Right here, we're going to round out the night with a little bit of NFL talk. So, without more further ado, let's jump right into it. So, for the NFL, what is Aaron Rodgers going to do? I've been thinking about this one for a long time. I was asked at work today. I work at Dean Foods in Chemung, Illinois. Or it may be called Borden now. I'm pretty sure it is. Will Aaron Rodgers be back, or where will he go? And I've been thinking about it. The two main places he wanted to go were Oakland and Denver. The problem with this, Oakland Raiders have more or less come out and say, you know what, Derek Carr, this is your last year. You better make it worth it. You better make the playoffs, otherwise we're not bringing you back. So Derek Carr, sorry, pack your bags. You're pretty much over with. You got the Kansas City Chiefs in your division, and the Chiefs are on a more or less revenge tour. The Broncos, who are also somehow in the same division, they have a quarterback battle between Drew Lock, who's an up-and-coming, decent quarterback right now, and Teddy Bridgewater, who's not terrible. Somebody was talking during the NFL draft, and they said if you could get Teddy Bridgewater right now, the way that he's playing right now, NFL proven, where would you take him in the draft? They went around the whole table. Two of the guys said third round. Two of the guys said second round. And he was traded for a fifth round pick. These guys are saying we would take him second or third round, and he was traded for a fifth round pick. He's mad. He wants revenge, and he can do it because he's good enough to do it. Is he good enough to be a franchise quarterback? No. He's got a few good years left, and then he's done. He's not a long-term quarterback. But Aaron Rodgers right now, being over in Hawaii, being on vacation, not being at practice for the Packers won't hurt him because he's played with the Packers long enough that he just has to learn the new plays. The old plays he's got down. He's got them. He's just got to learn the new plays. And Matt LaFleur is not going to add a lot of new plays that really aren't trick plays. Because why would you add a new play if your offense is already working and you have that many plays? So I believe he's coming back to Green Bay because you can't take this much time off and not be studying another team's playbook. And even if you do study another team's playbook, you have to practice it. I am a college athlete, play down in Avila University in Kansas City, Missouri. The first day of summer, Coach Mark Benavidez, one of the best head coaches in NAIA, sent out a playbook over Huddle, and I wrote it all down. I wrote it down, made my own little playbook, and I'd go over it in my head, what to do for every single offensive lineman position, because I didn't know what I was going to play. When I got to practice, I would still mess it up because I'd been studying it all summer on pen and paper, memorizing it, telling my brain what to do. My feet didn't know what to do. My body didn't know what to do. My hands didn't know what to do. My head knew what to do, but my body was not practiced for it. It's muscle memory more than it is mental memory. So we're going to wrap things up this week. I'm glad you all tuned in. As always, like, comment, subscribe. If you got anything you want to let me know, feel free to reach out. Leave a comment down below. If you got my phone number, shoot me a text. If you don't have my phone number, have somebody who does shoot me a text. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you very much. Every listen counts. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog. Tell the gym trainer that you don't pay for anymore because you decided you were okay being fat. Till next time, this is Jake Krugenberg. Stay sleazy.